Okay, 6th grade, this is the Chapter 6 study guide number 1. We're going to go over this today in class. You need to follow along with me as we discuss it. Look at number 1. Which of the following ratios is not equivalent to the other three? All right, so A, we have 4/5. Let's start from that one. Okay, 4/5. And let's see, is this equal to 20/25? Is A and B equivalent? That's what we're looking for. Well, if I look on the top, I know that 4 times 5 would give me 20. 4 times 5 is 20. And so if it's equivalent, I can multiply by 5 on the bottom, and it should be true. Is 5 times 5 25? Yes, it is. And so here we can see that 4 to 5 is equivalent to 20 to 25. All right, so A and B are equivalent. What about A and C? Are A and C equivalent? Well, let's write down 4 to 5 and put equivalent to 8 to 10. So 8 to 10. Are these equivalent? Well, let's see. On the top, it looks like we're multiplying by 2. 4 times 2 is 8. So let's see if we can multiply by 2 on the bottom and it be true. If we take 5 and multiply it by 2, do we get 10? Yes, we do. All right, so 4 to 5 is equivalent to 8 to 10. These are equal to one another, or equivalent. So A and B are equivalent, A and C are equivalent. Let's check if A and D are equivalent. All right, so let's write down 4 to 5. And let's see, is this equivalent to 12 to 20? So on the top, it looks like we're multiplying by 3, 4 times 3. And so for this to be equivalent, we also need to multiply the bottom by 3, 5 times 3. Does 5 times 3 equal 20? No, it does not. Okay, so here we can see that 4 to 5 does not equal or is not equivalent to 12/20. All right, so the question, which of the following ratios is not equivalent to the other three? That would be letter D. 12 to 20 is not equivalent to these other three ratios. All right, so remember, you need to be following along with me. Everything that I write here, you should write something very similar on your paper. Number 2. The ratio of students who eat a school lunch to students who bring their own lunch to school is 3 to 2. There are 15 students who eat a school lunch. How many students bring their own lunch to school? All right, so here we have a ratio of 3 to 2. 3 I'll put on top, 2 on bottom. Okay, the 3 students, ratio of students who eat a school lunch. So 3 eat school lunch, and 3 students eat lunch, 2 students bring their own lunch. So that's the ratio. 3 school lunches to 2, I'll put own lunch. Right, this is the rate given to us in the problem. This is the ratio given to us in the problem. It's 3 to 2. 3 students bring their school to lunch, 3 students eat a school lunch, 2 students bring their own lunch. Okay, so if there are 15 students who eat a school lunch, so that's on top, 15 eat a school lunch. 15 eat a school lunch. We want to find out how many students bring their own lunch. How many students bring their own lunch? That's what we're looking for. Okay, so this is how I set it up. Now let's look on top. On top you can see I'm taking 3. How do I get from 3 to 15? Well, I multiplied by 5 times 5 times 5. And so if I want to find an equivalent ratio, I need to do the same thing to the bottom. So I take 2 and I multiply by 5. And that will give me the number of students who brought their own lunch to school. So 2 times 5 is 10. Okay, so how many students brought their own lunch? 10 students. All right, on to number 3. It says a 24-ounce box of cornflakes costs $4.56. What is the unit rate? The unit rate. Okay, so first write rate. Rate. What is the rate given to us in the problem? Now, whenever you're dealing with money, you're going to put money on top of the rate because we want the price per ounce. The price per 1 ounce of cornflakes. Okay, so the rate given to us is it's $4.56. $4.56 per. Remember, that's what the horizontal fraction bar right there means. $4.56 per 24 ounces. The label for ounces is OZ. So this right here is the rate given to us in the problem. This is how I write it. Price per ounce. Price per ounce. Now I want the unit rate. So over here write unit rate. Unit rate. Put your equal sign and draw your ratio bar, your fraction bar. We want the price. So as you can see, money is on top. Money on top. The price per ounce. Right? Ounces are on bottom. Money's on top, ounces on bottom. So what is the price per 1 ounce? That's our unit rate, the price per ounce. Price per ounce. So how did I get from 24 to 1? I divided by 24. And so if you divide by 24 on the bottom, you have to do the same thing to the top. So you take $4.56 and you're going to divide by 24. $4.56 divided by 24 will give you the price per 1 ounce. So here's where you can use a calculator. You type in 4.56 on the calculator, hit the divided by button on the calculator. You type in 4.56 divided by 24, hit the equal sign, and you get 0.19. 0.19. So that's what I put right here, 0.19, which is 19 cents. So it's 19 cents per ounce, per 1 ounce. So this is my unit rate right here. That's what I circled, 19 cents per ounce. Number 4 says Rachel bought a package of 30 pencils for $10.50. What is the price per pencil? We want the price per pencil. Price per pencil. And so that's how I need to set up my rate. So over here, write rate. Rate. All right, we're going to write the rate given to us in the problem. We want price per ounce, price per pencil. So price is on top. Per pencil. Price per pencil. Price per pencil. That's how I set it up. Now, what is the price? How much did Rachel spend? She spent $10.50. So I'll put that on top. $10.50 for how many pencils? 30 pencils. So I put 30 on bottom. 30 on bottom. So this is the rate. $10.50 per 30 pencils. We want the price per pencil, which is going to be the unit rate. The unit rate. Put over here. Put your equal sign, draw your ratio bar. We want the price, so money's on top, per 1 pencil. So if 30 pencils cost $10.50, how much does 1 pencil cost? That's going to be the unit rate. So how do I get from 30 to 1? What am I doing on the bottom? I am dividing. Dividing by 30. 30 divided by 30 equals 1. And so if I divide by 30 on the bottom, I have to do the same thing to the top. So $10.50 divided by 30 will give me the price per 1 pencil. So here I can use a calculator. I type in 10.50 divided by 30, and I will get 0.35, which is 35 cents. 35 cents per 1 pencil. 35 cents per pencil is the price per pencil. So as you can see, look how I'm setting it up. I have my original rate, and I set that equal to the unit rate, the price per 1 pencil. Number 5, it says a 12-ounce can of Mountain Dew contains 170 calories. About how many calories does it contain per ounce? Round to the nearest whole calorie. Okay, so let's first write the rate given to us in the problem. We're asked to find how many calories per ounce. We want calories per ounce. So in our rate, we want calories on top per ounce. OZ, ounce. Calories per ounce. Calories per ounce. How many calories in the original rate? There are 170 calories, so I put that on top. 170 calories. And how many ounces? 12. 12 OZ, 12 ounces. 170 calories per 12 ounces. That's the rate. So what is the unit rate, which will give us the amount of calories in 1 ounce of Mountain Dew? So write unit rate, draw the ratio bar, the fraction bar, and on top we want calories. Right? See how calories are on top of the ratio, calories on top, and ounces go on bottom. Ounces on bottom. Okay, so as you can see, look on the bottom, we have 12 divided by 12. 12 divided by 12 gives you 1. And so if we divide the bottom by 12, we do the same thing to the top. We have 170 divided by 12 will give us the number of calories per 1 ounce of Mountain Dew. Okay, so now when you put this in your calculator, you're going to get, let's say, we got 170 divided by 12. You see you get 14.1666. It's actually 6 repeating. Okay, so we need to round here. We're going to round to the nearest calorie. So 14.16 repeating is obviously between 14 and 15. And so if we round to the nearest calorie, we're basically asking ourselves, is this closer to 14 calories or is it closer to 15 calories? Now, since it's 14.1, 1 is less than 5, so we're gonna keep it the same. It's closer to 14. All right, so we're gonna round to the nearest whole calories. It's closer to 14 calories than it is to 15 calories. So, how many calories does it contain per ounce? Mountain Dew contains 14 calories per 1 ounce. That is the unit rate. That's our answer for number 5. Number 6, it says, on Tuesday, Joey earned $28 for 2 hours of mowing. Getting paid the same rate, he earned $56 for mowing on Friday. How many hours did Joey mow on Friday? All right, so first let's write the rate given to us in the problem. Right, rate. Okay, we're told that he earned $28 for 2 hours. $28 for 2 hours. So put $28 on top. That's how much he earned per 2 hours. That's the rate. He earned $28 for 2 hours of mowing. Okay, so let's find the unit rate. So if he earned $28 in 2 hours, how much did he earn in 1 hour? So how much in 1 hour? This is going to be the unit rate, the price per hour. Okay, so on the bottom, I take 2 and I divide it by 2. Right, 2 divided by 2 is 1. So if I divide by 2 on the bottom, I got to divide by 2 on the top. So on the top, I have 28 divided by 2, which gives me 14. Okay, so he's making $14 per hour. That's the unit rate, $14 per hour. Okay, so if we go on in the problem, it says getting paid the same rate, he earned $56 for mowing on Friday. So let's set this unit rate equal to $56, since that's how much he earned. And we're looking for how many hours. How many hours did Joey mow for on Friday? Okay, so from our unit rate to, let's call this the equivalent rate. This is an equivalent rate. Equivalent rate. How did I get from 14 to 56? Well, if I don't know right away, what I can do is take this number and divide it by this number. 56 divided by 14. And you're going to find that's going to be 4. 56 divided by 14 is 4. Okay, so how do I get from 14 to 56? Well, I multiplied. I multiplied by 4. 14 times 4 gives me 56. And so if I multiplied by 4 on the top, what do I have to do on the bottom? I have to multiply by what? By 4. You're correct. 1 times 4 would give me 4. 4. Okay? So if he makes $14 per 1 hour and he makes $56 for mowing, how many hours did he mow for? He mowed for 4 hours. 4 hours. Okay, so as you can see here, I set up my rate given to me in the problem, $28 for 2 hours. I found the unit rate, which means how much does he make in 1 hour. That's going to be 14 hours per hour. Once I know how much money he makes in 1 hour, then I can figure out, if I know he makes $56, I can figure out how many hours he worked for, which would be 4 hours here. All right, let's go on to number 7. Number 7. It says Chandler paints 8 rooms in 3 days. Chandler paints 8 rooms in 3 days for $600. How many rooms could Chandler paint in 6 days? Okay, so here you got to figure out what information should I use from the information given to me. It says how many rooms could he paint in 6 days? So I want the number of rooms. How many rooms? That should be my answer. My answer should be so many rooms. How many rooms could he paint in 6 days? And so the only information that I'm worried about here is rooms and days. Okay, but in the first sentence it tells me how much he makes. I'm not really worried about that because I'm looking for rooms and days. And so really I could cross out that $600. It doesn't really even matter because all I'm concerned about is rooms and days. That's what matters to me for this problem. Okay, so let's first write the rate. The rate in the problem. How many rooms does he paint in 3 days? Well, he paints 8 rooms in 3 days. That's what it tells me in the first sentence. 8 rooms in 3 days. And we are looking for how many rooms in 6 days. Okay, so this is an equivalent rate. Equivalent rate. If he paints 8 rooms in 3 days, how many rooms, that's what we're looking for, how many rooms in 6 days? So how did I get from 3 to 6 on the bottom? What did I do? I multiplied by 2, right? 3 times 2 is 6. And so if I multiply by 2 on the bottom, I must also do the same thing to the top so that this is an equivalent rate. So I take 8, multiply by 2, and that will give me the number of rooms in 6 days. So I know that 8 times 2 is 16. Okay? So how many rooms could Chandler paint in 6 days? He could paint 16 rooms. Number 8 says Ross runs at an average speed of 9 minutes per mile. Okay, let's write Ross's rate. This is Ross. He runs at 9 minutes for 1 mile. That's his average speed. That's what it says. 9 minutes per mile. 9 minutes per mile. That's Ross. Phoebe, what's her average speed? Her average speed is 11 minutes per mile. So 11 minutes per 1 mile. Okay, these are their average rates. Ross is 9 minutes per mile. Phoebe is 11 minutes per mile. It goes on to say if they both run 6 miles, they're both going to run 6 miles, how much longer will it take Phoebe to run the 6 miles? Okay, so if they run 9 minutes for 1 mile, Ross does, and Phoebe runs 11 minutes in 1 mile, what we can do is multiply by 6 over 6 to figure out how long it takes them to run 6 miles. And so Ross, if we multiply by 6 over 6, we know that 9 times 6 is 54. And the unit on top is minutes, right? Minutes. And 1 times 6 on the bottom is 6. Okay, so for Ross, if it takes him 9 minutes to run 1 mile, then if he runs 6 miles, it's going to take him 54 minutes. Okay, now let's do Phoebe. If Phoebe runs 11 minutes for 1 mile, if we multiply by 6, that will give us the amount of time that she can run 6 miles in. So on the top, 11 times 6 is 66. And on the bottom, 1 times 6 is 6. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm taking their rates and I'm finding an equivalent rate. equivalent rate. Right? Because I'm multiplying the top and the bottom by the same number. Okay, so for Ross, he runs 6 miles in 54 minutes. Phoebe runs 6 miles in 66 minutes. And so go back to the original question. Be sure you're answering the question that you are asked. What is the question you're asked? Well, it's right here. How much longer will it take Phoebe to run the 6 miles? So Phoebe, it takes 66 minutes. 66 minutes. That's how long it takes Phoebe. How long does it take Ross? It takes Ross 54 minutes. I need to subtract and find the difference. Find the difference between their times. 66 minutes minus 54 minutes is 12 minutes. Right, so how much longer does it take Phoebe to run the 6 miles? It takes her 12 minutes longer to run the 6 miles. Number 9. It says Monica bakes 48 brownies in 30 minutes. At the same rate, how many brownies can she make in 75 minutes? Okay, so let's first write the rate. Rate. The rate given is she bakes 48 brownies. 48 brownies. In how many minutes? 30 minutes. So I have 48 over 30. 48 to 30. That's the rate given to me. Now let's find the unit rate. So if she bakes 48 brownies in 30 minutes, how many brownies can she make in 1 minute? How many brownies in 1 minute? This is unit rate. Brownies on top, minutes on bottom. Okay? So 48 brownies in 30 minutes. How many brownies in 1 minute? So as you can see, I am dividing by 30. 30 divided by 30 gives me 1. So if I divide by 30 on the bottom, what must I do to the top? You're right, divide by 30. So 48 divided by 30, put that in your calculator and see what you get. If I take 48 divided by 30 equals 1.6. Okay, this is 1 6/10. 1.6. This is not 16. See, there's a dot between the 1 and the 6. That's point. 1 point. That's the decimal point. So I can make, or Monica can bake 1.6 brownies per minute. 1 6/10 of a brownie every minute. Okay, but I'm asked to find how many brownies she can make in 75 minutes. So if this is my unit rate, if I know how many brownies she can make in 1 minute, then I can find an equivalent rate to figure out how many brownies she can make in 75 minutes. So let's put equals and make an equivalent. An equivalent rate. Okay, brownies are still on top. Brownies on top, minutes on bottom. Okay, I'm looking for how many brownies in 75 minutes. That's what I'm looking for. So how did I get from 1 to 75? What did I do? I multiply by 75. 1 times 75 is 75. So if you multiply on the bottom by 75, what do you have to do to the top? Multiply by 75. So times 75. So I have 1.6 times 75. That should give me 120 brownies in 75 minutes. Right? 1.6 times 75 is 120. So how many brownies? How many brownies can she bake in 75 minutes? 120 brownies. Number 10. Mike read 25 pages of his book in half an hour. If he reads for 4 hours at the same rate, how many pages of the book can Mike read? Okay, so first let's write the rate. The rate. Mike reads 25 pages in half an hour. Half an hour. How long is an hour? An hour is 60 minutes. So what is half of an hour? Well, half an hour is 30 minutes. 30 minutes. He reads 25 pages in 30 minutes. So if he reads for 4 hours, how many minutes is 4 hours? Well, if there's 60 minutes in 1 hour, 60 minutes in 1 hour, I want to know how many minutes in 4 hours. So what did I do here? 1 hour to 4 hours, I multiplied by 4, right? 1 times 4 is 4. So how do I figure out how many minutes in 4 hours? I multiply by 4. 60 times 4 is 240. Okay? So if I know that Mike reads 25 pages in 30 minutes, I am looking for how many pages in 4 hours, or 240 minutes. Okay, so I have, this is my rate. This over here would be an equivalent rate. All right, so he reads 25 pages in 30 minutes. How many pages does he read in 4 hours, or 240 minutes? So how did I get from 30 to 240? Times 8, right? 30 times 8 is 240. Or you could go the other way. 240 divided by 8 is 30. Okay, so if I multiply the bottom by 8, I have to multiply the top by 8. So that this is an equivalent rate. So 30 times 8 is 240. What is 25 times 8? Well, 25 times 8, if I use my calculator, I'll find out it's 200. So he reads 200 pages in 240 minutes, which is 4 hours. So how many pages can he read in 4 hours? 200 pages in 4 hours. All right, number 11. The ratio of forks to knives in Mabel's kitchen drawer is 4 to 5. Let's write that ratio. Ratio. What is the ratio given to us? We have 4 forks to 5 knives. That's the ratio, 4 forks to 5 knives. There are 16 forks in the drawer. There are 16 forks in the drawer. So if this is our ratio right here, over here we're setting up an equivalent ratio. The ratio of forks to knives is 4 to 5, 4 forks to every 5 knives. So if there are 16 forks, how many knives are there? That's what we're looking for. How many knives? And so as you can see here on the top, what are we doing? We're multiplying by 4, right? 4 times 4 is 16. And so if we multiply by 4 on the top, we have to do the same thing to the bottom. So 5 times 4 will give us the number of knives. 5 times 4 is 20. So we have 20 knives. Number 12. There are 250 bricks used to build a wall that is 20 feet high. How many bricks will be used to build a wall that is 30 feet high? So first, we set up our rate, right? Set up the rate. We have 250 bricks. 250 bricks used to build a wall that is how high? 20 feet. Right? 250 bricks for 20 feet. FT, feet. That's our rate. So what is the unit rate? The unit rate. If 250 bricks are used to build 20 feet, what we can do here is find, actually this is an equivalent rate. An equivalent rate. I can find how many bricks does it take to build a 10 foot high wall. So I can divide by 2 over 2. 250 divided by 2 would be 125 bricks. Or I could put that in my calculator. 250 divided by 2 is 125, and 20 divided by 2 would be 10. All right, so this is an equivalent rate. If it takes 250 bricks to build a 20-foot high wall, if I divide by 2, that would be an equivalent rate, 125 bricks for 10 feet. So if I know how much bricks it takes for 10 feet, then what I can do is find another equivalent rate, because I want to know how many bricks it will take to build a wall that is 30 feet high. So how can I find an equivalent rate? I can multiply by 3, right, to get to 30 feet. And so here I have 125 times 3, which would be 375. 125 times 3 is 375 bricks on top. And on the bottom you have 10 feet times 3, which is 30 feet. So how many bricks will be used to build a wall that's 30 feet high? 375 bricks. That is my answer. Number 13. Kellen's lemonade recipe uses 4 scoops of lemonade powder for every 2.5 cups of water. Okay, so let's first write that rate. We have 4 scoops of powder. I'll put 4 powder. 4 powder for every 2.5 water. 2.5 cups of water. Alright, so this is Kellen. Uses 4 scoops of lemonade powder for every 2.5 cups of water. This is the rate. Okay. Kellen uses 10 scoops of lemonade powder to make a batch of lemonade. So she uses 10 scoops of lemonade powder to make a batch of lemonade. How much water? How much water should he use? Okay, so this is my rate. This is my rate given to me in the problem. 4 powder for every 2.5 water. This would be an equivalent rate. Equivalent rate. I'll just put EQ, equivalent rate. All right, so I got to think about how did I get from 4 to 10? What do I multiply by? Well, here it's not completely obvious what we multiply by. So if I don't know what I multiply by, I know that I can figure it out because I know that division is the inverse of multiplication. So what I can do is take 10, divide by 4. If I take 10 and divide by 4, that's going to give me 2.5. 2.5. And so that tells me what I multiplied 4 by. If I take 4 and divide by 2.5, I'll get 10. All right? So if I multiply by 2.5 on top, what do I do on bottom? Multiply by 2.5. So 2.5 times 2.5 equals the amount of water. 2.5 times 2.5 is 6.25. 6.25 water. All right? So if we use 4 scoops of lemonade powder for every 2 cups of water, that means we use 10 scoops of lemonade powder for every 6.25 cups of water. Okay, finally, last one, number 14, says Allie can type 45 words per minute. Let's write that rate. Allie, 45 words per 1 minute. Dan can type 60 words per 1 minute. All right, that's their rates. If Allie and Dan each type for 30 minutes, how many more words will Dan type? Okay, so we know their amount of words in 1 minute. We want to figure out how many words do they type in 30 minutes. So what we do here is multiply by 30 over 30 to find an equivalent rate. Multiply by 30 over 30. So for Allie, we get 45 times 30. 45 times 30 will be 1,350 words. And 1 times 30 is 30. Okay, so if Allie types 45 words in 1 minute, that means in 30 minutes, she'll type 1,350 words. For Dan, we multiply 60 times 30 to get 1,800 words in 30 minutes. And remember, go back to the question, see what they're asking you. It says, how many more words will Dan type? So if Dan types 1,800 words and Allie types 1,350 words in 30 minutes, what's the difference? How many more words does Dan type? Well, you take 1,800 minus 1,350, and you figure out that the difference is 450 words. So how many more words does Dan type? Dan types 450 more words. Okay, so this is the Chapter 6 study guide number 1. You guys should all have this completed now since we went through it together. All your work should be shown. Your final answers should be circled. Your homework tonight will be Chapter 6 study guide number 2. You need to complete that for homework, and we'll discuss it tomorrow. You need to keep track of study guide number 1 and number 2 because I will be checking those for completion on Thursday.